Now, the animal agriculture industries, they know that what we see in this footage and that what we see online is shocking and that it upsets us and that it offends us. That's why they don't show us the truth. That's why they give us marketing labels and ploys to distract us from the reality of what is really going on. Now, one of the best examples of this is free range. This is something that I used to really buy into. I thought that buying free range eggs was an ethical thing to do. You see, when we see a box of free range eggs in the supermarkets, what we do is we attribute our ideals of freedom onto that box of eggs. Now, freedom to us means being able to live the life that you want to live. Do the things that come naturally to you. Spend time with your friends and your family if that's what you want to do. But most importantly, freedom to us means living without fear, living in peace, living in harmony, living without oppression, without injustice, living without pain. So when we see that box of free-range eggs in the supermarkets, we say those hens must have lived a good life. They must have done the things that came naturally to them, spent time with their friends and family if that's what comes naturally to them. But most importantly, we say those hens lived a life without oppression, without injustice, without fear, and without pain. We know that that is not true. We know that that is a lie. We know that free-range hens come from hatcheries where the males are gassed and macerated as soon as they are born. We know that the female chicks are often debeaked and placed into barns where they barely have any room to move and where many will never see the sunlight or breathe the fresh air until the day that they die. We know that all free-range hens end up in a slaughterhouse with a knife being pulled across their throat. Make no mistake, there is no freedom in free range. There's another thing we get told, humane slaughter. It's acceptable and moral to kill an animal if it's done in a humane way. So I could ask you the question, how do you humanely take the life of an animal? But instead, let's think about it. The word humane means having or showing compassion or benevolence. So instead of me asking you that question, let me rephrase it a little bit and ask you, how do you compassionately, benevolently, or humanely take the life of an animal that does not want to die for an unnecessary reason? You can't. Humane slaughter is an oxymoron. It can't ever exist, because we can never justify taking that life of an animal when they don't need to die, and therefore we can never do it compassionately or benevolently. Another thing we often get told is happy cows produce happy milk. This is something we're going to hear a lot more in the future, I guarantee you. Happy cows produce happy milk. Let's think about that for a second. Let me ask you a series of questions. Is the cow happy when she's forcibly impregnated? Is she happy when her baby is taken away from her? Is that mother happy when her baby is taken away from her? Is that mother happy when she's exploited for what she naturally produces for her child? Is she happy when she's loaded into a truck or a trailer and taken to a slaughterhouse? Is she happy when the bolt gun is placed against her head and the knife pulled across her throat? Again, make no mistake, there is no happiness in the dairy industry. There is no right way to do the wrong thing. And exploiting animals, because it is unnecessary, will always be the wrong thing. And therefore, there is no right way to do it. Do not believe the labels and the lies and the adverts and the propaganda and the scams of these industries that seek to make money from you. They operate on supply and demand. The only way they can function is if people buy these products. And people aren't going to buy these products if they know the truth behind them. So instead they lie to us to make us buy something that otherwise we would not want to buy, because then they make money from us. Then they can profit from us. Then they can profit from the exploitation of animals. It is a lie. They have vested interests. Remember that when you see those labels and those pictures of happy animals. Those animals are suffering, they're in pain, and they will be until the day that they die. So the question often becomes, we agree, or most of us agree, that what happens to animals is wrong. And perhaps it is immoral. So instead of abolishing the industries, why don't we just improve the systems? Why don't we just make the farms humane? Why don't we make free range mean free? Now the reality is, even if we were environmentally and economically able to give all of these animals that we consume big green lush pastures, open fields, and allow them to do what comes naturally to them, even if we found a system where we didn't have to take their babies away from them, where we didn't have to mutilate them, where we didn't have to forcibly impregnate them, we will always, always, always have to take their life from them. That is a reality of animal exploitation. No matter what industry, their lives will always be taken away from them. And because of that, it's irrelevant what quality of life we give them. The moment that we take them to the yard or to the slaughterhouse to take their life, that is abuse. And it cannot be morally justified. Do not buy into welfare. Welfare is not there for the animals. It's there for us, to ease our conscience. You see, the animals don't care what labels they're given on the packets of flesh and secretions in a supermarket. They don't care if they're labelled organic or grass-fed or corn-fed or high welfare. Those labels do not safeguard the animals. They make us buy the product. They ease our conscience. Now, it always strikes me as strange that when we protest against something like the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, we don't say it's moral to take the life of a dog if it's done in a humane way. We don't say it's moral to take the life of a dog if they're given bigger cages or if they're labelled free range. We say taking the life of a dog for food is wrong and immoral and should be abolished, full stop, no ifs, no buts. The petitions that we sign to end Yulin are not asking for bigger cages. They're not asking for different labelling. They're asking for an end to the dog meat industry and an end to the festival. So let me ask you, if the Labrador steaks that are being consumed in Yulin, if they came with an RSPCA approved seal, would that make it moral? If the minced chihuahua being consumed in Yulin, if that came with a red tractor approved seal, would that make it moral? If we brought all the dogs and all the cats that are being killed in Southeast Asia, if we brought them to this country, took them to British slaughterhouses and killed them in the exact same way that we kill the animals in this country, would that make it moral in your eyes? And if it wouldn't, why on earth would it be moral to kill the animals that we eat using these methods? If you have companion animals at home, say like a dog or a cat, a hamster, a rabbit, a gerbil, whatever animal it is, if you have an animal at home that you love and whose existence you cherish, if they needed to be put down and euthanized, would you take them to a slaughterhouse to have that done? And if you wouldn't, that should tell you all you need to know about how humane a slaughterhouse can be. Now, animals have one chance at life. They have one existence. Who are we to take that one chance at life away from them because we value the taste of their flesh and their secretions? A meal to us lasts a matter of minutes, an inconsequential amount of time. It's a meal that we forget about as soon as we've finished. But that meal has cost the entire existence of an animal. We take their life for minutes of pleasure. What right do we have to do that, not only as a species, but as individuals? Let me ask those questions again. Are my taste buds, or are our taste buds, more important than the life of an animal? How do we morally justify doing these things if it's unnecessary and if we don't need to?